everyone. Welcome to Bright Spots. I'm Laurie.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Brian. And we're excited about tonight's show.
We really are. We've got a great show planned for you. Sean will bring the word. Brian will bring the world according to Brian. And I'll bring a little inspiration. We also have a great guest, but we're not going to talk too much about him just yet. We're going to save that for later. So how was your day, guys?
It was
Pretty
busy.
good.
Yeah, and we were understanding that some of the areas around us are going to be starting to open up some things so we're not so confined. Is that true, Lori?
You know, that is what the governor is saying here in Ohio, that they have a phase kind of plan to open up. And first things first, on May the 4th, manufacturers are going to be allowed to open up. So some of the plants and things that were shut down, but there's still going to be social distancing in place, 6 feet apart. We want to make sure that we wear a mask if we're symptomatic at all. And of course, working for the hospital, we are going to start getting back into those elective procedures that we had stopped during COVID. So, colonoscopies, screening mammographies, and some outpatient surgeries that don't require hospitalization. Those will start again.
Cool.
So,
cool.
Of course, coming into the hospital, we're going to ask people to wear masks. But how do you guys feel about wearing masks out in public? Are you doing that when you go out?
We try to. We should do it more often because it's a must, but we forget. We really do.
Yeah.
But we do
You
do
both have
The
masks?
last time I went into a place, we have masks. We have masks. In fact, last time I went into a store, I was wearing my pajamas, which is odd, with the jacket over top. My hair was a mess, so I think I was wearing a mask. Nobody knew this.
Okay,
Very
Brian.
bad.
Brian, you worry me sometimes. So for all of you that are tuning in, we would love to know where you're tuning in from. And if this is your first time watching Bright Spots, we'd like to know that as well. So we'd love to hear from you this evening at some point. And we are excited to see so many people popping on quickly. Great to see you all. Thank you. Thank you. So, Sean, would you start us off with a little bit of the word?
Yeah. I'm going to start with Matthew 22:37-40. Jesus said to him, "Thou shalt love the Lord with thy God with all thy heart, with all thy might, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And then the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." This is an amazing thing because God wants us to love one another. That's the greatest commandment of all. I mean, when you think of all the great things you could walk with, doing good deeds, you can do all the best things you can, but without love, and if you have hate inside you, God can't use you at all. And when I've been praying to seek what God wants me to share with people, I really think that we've got to love like we've never been hurt before. There's 3 different ways of loving. I ask you to make love a priority tonight. Write down the things that you want to do. Our mom used to write down souls, names, people that she would just come in contact with, and she would want them to come to know Christ. So she would just start writing their names down. And she cried out for souls. And I really think there's an urge and need for us to start crying out for souls again. I mean, truly crying out, not just acting like I'm concerned over souls. Our mom cried out for souls. I would go walk into her room and I'd say, "Mom, what's wrong?" And she said, "People are dying all around us." When we think of all the celebrities that we all loved, from Farrah Fawcett to Robin Williams to Whitney Houston and Robert Urich and all those throughout the years, how many have died? and they've had great fame and fortune, but how many of them knew Jesus Christ? Because that's the only thing you can go to heaven with. And it doesn't matter what you've done in your life, it doesn't matter what sin you've committed, as long as when you receive Jesus Christ, it's the only thing that is the choice of right and wrong, and it's the one that will lead you to heaven, and it's the only thing that gets you there. I mean, I'm going to give you three things about love. Love values others. Love is vulnerable to others. It opens up. It opens up. And then the third thing is love entails a cost. It gets its hands dirty. Our mom got her hands dirty by praying and seeking God daily on souls. And she did that every day and every night. And she saw many come to know the Lord. Tonight, I want you to seek God. I want you to start crying out and getting your hands dirty. Jesus did when he says, God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes shall not perish but have everlasting life. He died for you and me and every single person on this earth. So guess what? He got his hands dirty. Tonight, I pray that you do as well.
Amen.
Amen. That was great word, Sean. Those are some of my favorite scriptures. Matthew 22 especially is one of my favorite books of the Bible. Amen. So that's good stuff.
And that's the one thing that we definitely need more of is love. What the world needs now. Do you remember that old song? What the world needs now is love, sweet love. That's the only thing that there's just too little of. Do you remember that song?
I do, yes. Welcome, Sarah from New York. This is Sarah's first time tuning in to Bright Spots. So, Sarah, we are glad to see you and very, very glad to see you. We have Sabrina, who is asking, where's Will? Sabrina, Will be joining us shortly. He is on the second half of the show, but we will be bringing Will out soon, very soon. So now is time for Brian. You ready, Brian?
I'm ready.
I'm not sure if we're ready for you, but it's Brian's turn.
Lori did some great things with those graphics. She's put some songs and everything. I applaud her for that. I have a different way of thinking, and when I am stuck in the house, I think more. And I want to hear from all of you why I'm giving you some of my thoughts, because I'm sure that all of you have some bizarre ways of thinking, because I know half of you who are in the room. And let me tell you, you guys are strange and peculiar like I am. Okay, these are 6 thoughts. Okay, if I get through all of them, that'll be great. But one is, I go to the mailbox and, hey, Kathy, I go to the mailbox and I find bills every day. Okay, every single day. And what I find very difficult is not only do we get, think about this, in a country that is a freedom of speech country, we get a phone bill and we get a cell phone bill. Okay, how free is our freedom of speech? Seriously, do you agree? I want to hear from you. Do you agree with me? Do you think we should be paying our phone bills and our cell phone bills? Come on, it was freedom of speech. Let's take it up with the government. Okay, the other thing I was thinking of was, okay, why do we park in a driveway? Okay, now think about this. We park in a driveway and we drive on a parkway. Does that make any sense? No, it makes no sense whatsoever. Okay, and here's a few more. I love the Reagans. Nancy Reagan came up with a wonderful thought. It was just say no to drugs. Okay, but I find it to be one of the dumbest things I have ever heard, because just say no to drugs is very stupid to say it over and over again, because it means that I'm obviously talking to my drugs. And people, if you're talking to your drugs, saying no to them, you're probably already said yes to them. Hi, Sarah. Do you agree with me? She agrees 100%. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. See, you from New York and me from Ohio understand each other. Okay, then think about this. If the police arrest a mime, I want you to really stop and think about this because it doesn't make any sense. If a police arrest a mime, and I think those mimes are dangerous because we had a mime in our ministry before. She worked with us and she was our assistant. And boy, did she have some mean hand signals, let me tell you. Okay, but if they arrest a mime, do they tell the mime that you have the right to remain silent? I don't think so. Could you imagine that? Thank you, Kathy. Words of wisdom by me. I know. Is that you're too much, Brian? I don't know. Who is this? Maddie? Thank you, Maddie. I appreciate that. I know you're thinking the same way I am, people. Okay, now here's let me see. I have one, maybe two more. Okay, why does Hawaii have interstate highways? Does that make any sense? Hello, Pastor Tina. You're one of my favorite pastors, Brian Bretter. She knows the way I think. It's dangerous, Pastor, and you still book me. What does that tell you about you? Okay, now what? This is why I love you, Brian. Thank you, Linda. I love you too. And it's not the Linda who's our assistant. She has to love us. This is a total different Linda who loves me. Okay, and then here's another one. There is an old saying, crime doesn't pay. Now think about this, Pastor Tina. Okay, because it's really important. If the old saying is crime doesn't pay, us in ministry, well, let's think about it. Well, does that mean that our jobs, Pastor Tina, you and ours, it's a crime because we don't get a good paycheck? Do you, Pastor Tina? Think about that.
Brian. You know,
I have too much time.
Sometimes when we got together to rehearse last night, I had my part. Sean had his part. Brian said, I don't have my part yet. I'll do it tomorrow. Brian, next week for rehearsal, you need to have your part so we can make sure.
The audience loves him. They're all writing.
You know, he is definitely the comic relief, right? Definitely the comic relief. Well, guys, now it's time for some inspiration. Hello, everybody. So I was thinking about what's going on in our world right now. And the folks over at gratefulness.com had some really great things to say about what we should be doing at this time right now. We should be reflecting on goodness, reflect with gratitude on the sacrifices of the frontline workers and those that are self-quarantining and those who have been forced to work from home. Be grateful for the things that they are doing. When you're washing your hands, oh my goodness, what a time to be thankful for the running water, whether it's hot or cold, the beauty and the miracle of soap, or how about these, our hands? If we could just be grateful for our hands and the things that our hands do every day. Imagine, what we would do without them, and be grateful at that moment when you're washing your hands. Think about all of those things right then and there that you have to be grateful for. Stay connected. No, we can't get together in big groups, but look how we're connecting here tonight. We're connecting with family and friends and new friends, and we're talking about things and we're sharing gratitude. Be generous. Extend compassion to those whose lives are impacted most by this. When you go to the grocery store, be courteous, be loving, be gracious with the people that are working there, with the people that are shopping there. Also, see the privileges of the ordinary. In the midst of all of this, don't focus on what's being lost, but focus on the blessings that still remain. Allow yourself to appreciate and be in the moment of the good stuff that's happening. And finally, commit to that which sustains you. Allow this to remind you and be grounded in the things that preserve your integrity and reinforce the beliefs that help you have faith and hope in these difficult times. And that is today's inspiration.
Great work.
Awesome.
Okay, so we have come to the time where, and I couldn't put comments up as I was talking because it's hard to multitask.
But that was very good, Lori.
Well, thank you. So we are going to let Sean now introduce our special guest.
Our guest graduated from Franciscan University in 2017. He has a degree in political science and theology. He has worked with the Vagabond missions for 3 years, starting as a missionary, and now works as an area director. A newlywed for 3 months with a wife and a dog. His name is Will Davis. Can we please welcome him?
Hello.
Hey, how are you, William?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me on. Very excited to be here.
I'm thrilled you are here. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So just a little bit more than what had already been said. Before coming to Steubenville to go to Franciscan, I grew up outside Chicago. I'm the oldest of 4. I have a sister who's about to be married in about 2 months, and I have 2 younger brothers as well. I was supposed to get married last weekend, and we had to move up my wedding, or we got to move up my wedding. We had to limit it to just immediate family, so it wasn't necessarily the wedding that my wife and I had dreamt, but it was still just an incredibly special day.
Well, congratulations on the wedding.
Thank you. So very happy. We got married on March 28th, and we've just been enjoying the quarantine life since.
Talk about a long honeymoon.
Yeah, really tough.
You probably are going to have lots of children in this amount of time if you're bored. But anyway, could you tell us a little bit about the Vagabond mission?
Yeah, of course. So Vagabond Missions was started by Bob and Kate Lesnevsky a little over 13 years ago. They had been working as youth ministers in Schenectady, New York, and saw that there was just like a great need for ministry to inner city and urban kids. There was this gap of like no one reaching out to the furthest out kid. And so they came back to Steubenville, where they had gone to college. They also went to they were graduates of Franciscan University, started the ministry here, actually beginning it as Dirty Vagabond Ministries. And then a couple of years ago, when Bob's brother Andy took over the ministry, who's the president now, changed the name to Vagabond Missions. Since then, we've expanded, which has been awesome. We're not only in Steubenville, but we're also in Pittsburgh, in Wichita, Kansas, in Greenville, North Carolina.
My God, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so we're growing really quickly. We don't work out of a church. We're like our own entity. We just we're just out on the streets every day. Not right now, obviously, but when ministry time comes, going to the high schools, going to parks, football games, basketball games, that kind of thing, to meet kids and to invite them to our youth center. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah. Now,
what kind of impact have you seen personally from what you are doing?
It's a lot of like the things and like the little moments. We've been doing a lot of our ministry via Instagram right now, because that's like all that we can do. And so one of our missionaries in Steubenville put together this like music video compilation of like just different things that we've done at the underground. Very sentimental, very Very nice. It was a tearjerker for sure of a video. And one of the moms who follows our Instagram page of a teen that comes to our youth center right now messaged us directly, and it was this long paragraph about how she was so thankful that her daughter had somewhere to go over the last 4 years. She had seen the impact that we had on her life, in her life, the impact that through us that God had on her life. And so like those little moments, a lot of our kids have very unstable homes. They might not know where their next meal is going to come from. They might not live with both of their parents. They might not live with either of their parents. And to hear one of the girls, like somebody's parent, acknowledge and be grateful, really helps us, especially right now where we're like not even sure what kind of impact we're making.
Well, it sounds like you're making an impact. In fact, because we have a nonprofit, so we understand a lot of the nonprofits right now are trying to do things online because like services, church services, prayer, whatever is needed. That's why we actually started this show, because for the last few months, we have been homebound. And our ministry has been nowhere. But it's the same way with you all. But it's wonderful that you're able to make that kind of an impact on people. Tell me what the upcoming event is, the Meals for Hope.
Yes, so it's the Meals and Hope fundraiser. So at a typical fundraiser, right, you go and at the end of the event or at the beginning, you pay for a ticket, you go, you get a meal of some kind. Typically a nice meal. This time, the donation from somebody will go directly to providing a meal for a family in need in the areas that we serve. And by giving some kind of donation, you will receive a ticket to our virtual event happening next Wednesday, May 6th. And it's going to feature a live performance by Grammy Award-winning Christian artist Matt Maher. There's going to be a short talk by Father Josh Johnson, and awesome. It's going to be really great. Like we're hoping to serve over 1,000 meals to our kids and their families. Hoping to raise a little bit over $50,000. To cover the meals as well as to continue and push us forward as we look towards the summer and hope that everything starts to open up so that we can, start to be with kids as soon as we possibly can.
No, when is it again so that everybody knows?
It's next Wednesday, May 6th at 7.
And how can they get in touch with you? They just go to that website and...
Yep. So if you go to our website, there's a link to learn, or there's a button to learn more about the fundraiser. And then the donation goes through GoFundMe, and you'll get an email about your virtual ticket, and it's going to be really awesome.
Well, I can't wait to see it, and we will be a part of it too. We'll definitely try to get there through the internet. And so tell me a little bit more, what excites you about working with this organization or this mission?
I grew up in a very not inner city area. I grew up in probably one of the whitest areas that you could possibly grow up in outside Chicago. And this is a totally different, it's a totally different world to me. They've seen things that like I could never I mean, it's just terrible, the things that these kids have to go through on a day-to-day basis. But to see how like God always finds a way to show his love and to show his grace, how like the language of love is universal, and just because that I've come from a different place doesn't change like that. They still recognize like that I am trying just to be there with them. I'm not wealthy. I don't have these exceptional means. I just want to give them relationship. I just want to provide a good role model, hopefully, for them. So,
well, Will, actually, you know what? You actually sound like Jesus, because he wasn't rich, although he had a cattle on 1,000 hills. But he came as a servant to all. And that's, I think, what we are missing today, because what I see with the big churches, and I'm not breaking them down, but one of our big complaints in ministry today is that there is no evangelism. So I applaud you. I applaud this mission, this ministry, that you guys are going to the streets, and that's what more of us have to do. And I think that if the church would be doing that, we would start seeing the lost more saved. Because there's nobody's out there. They all want to stay within their confines of the. And I think maybe this, what had happened with this virus, now people are realizing, wait a minute, the church is not that building. It's not in that huge group. The church is us. And we can make a difference everywhere we're at, whether it's in the internet, whether it's in the mission fields like you all are doing with Inner City. So I applaud you, and I ask that all of us who are watching, all of you all who are listening to this, would get behind him and start supporting him. And if he has other, do you have a website other than the website that for the mission? Do you have a website of your own, what you're doing, or are you part of that website?
I'm part of that website. There's always other ways that you can give outside of this own fundraiser in the future. There's a donate button, and you can click, you can give to a certain site, you can give to a certain missionary. We're all, out there trying to fundraise our own salaries. So that can be hard, but we're living at a means that is not, we're trying to live in solidarity with the people that we serve. There's always different ways to give.
I'm reading all these people that are speaking about you, and you must be some. Oh my gosh, I'm just glad to meet you. I'm going to be following you from now on, because everybody's like, they're just bragging you up. You're one of the big bright spots. Your smile, they've been talking about your smile. They've been talking about everything. Oh my gosh, you're a rock star. That's what you are. So, but is there anything else you want to share about your mission, or about your life, or about what God's doing, and how about telling us what you see in the new year coming?
In the last few years, our ministry has gone through a lot of changes, a lot of structural changes, from being just 2 missionaries in every city to trying to get a team of missionaries. So this is our first year in Steubenville where we've had a team of missionaries. So I've had 3 other missionaries working alongside of me, Brennan, Mariana, and Stephanie. And they've done moving into a role of an area director. I've just been trying to help and serve the missionaries, really, so that they can go out and be hanging out with the kids, playing basketball, playing Uno, whatever, and just like serving them as much as I can. But we've seen a new wave of kids come through the underground, come through our youth center, and over the last week, we've been trying to bring lunch to the kids. We're picking a couple of kids during the day, just a meal from McDonald's, and then just to have like a short conversation when we drop it off, just to remind them that we're still praying for them. We still want to be there for them, in any way that we can. And we've seen an incredible response from the kids, just like how grateful that they are.
Well, what's the age of the youngest to the oldest?
It's high school kids. So it's freshman to senior. But the beautiful thing about having been in Steubenville for 13 years is that the ministry is known all across the city. It's not a huge city, but like we work out of the Sycamore Youth Center. Thank you, Bobby John, for letting us use the basement. It's been an incredible place. And the elementary and the middle school kids that come to the Sycamore Youth Center already know about the underground, and they see the fun things that we're doing in there, and they're like, I cannot wait to like be in high school so I can come to the undergrounds. It's been a blessing to work in the Sycamore Center.
Well, I'm sure it is, and you sound like you've been a blessing to all of them because they all are writing about you. Is there anybody who has some questions that they would like you'd like to ask, Will?
I'm kind of nervous for now. The praise
Questions, yeah.
questions are now from all my coworkers.
Yeah, so we are all very familiar with Bobby John Bowman.
Yep.
We've all done some work with Bobby John, and he is a true servant of God. So Will, when we are allowed to go back to normal, whatever that looks like, and
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I truly hope some things don't go back to the way they were before.
Yep.
I'm hoping that this actually, as strange as it sounds, draws us closer than we were before.
Yes.
How do you think the coronavirus, what kind of an effect will that have on you resuming normal ministry?
Wow. That's a question. Because it has something in our leadership meetings. We've been talking about how like we acknowledge we can't just go back to like business as usual. And so I think just like using the resource of technology that we have as just like a continued way that we can like always reach out to kids, and to always be vigilant in that. To be persevering, and so that like the kids will always know that we are there with them, whether that's through like really like, I mean, we have had some hysterical live stream events where we play some like we played this game a couple weeks ago where me and Brennan, the other guy missionary, had to put on as many shirts as we could in a minute, and then we had a Coca-Cola drinking contest, and Brennan just ended up pouring it down his shirt. Like, I mean, it just like is, but even though we'll be able to hang out with kids like in real life, like the outreach will never stop. Like the incarnational ministry is all about like trying to be Christ and present to the kids. But that presence doesn't have to stop if our physical presence is being blocked because of crazy pandemics. So we're gonna like work even harder, I think, than we ever have once some of these social restrictions are lifted.
Okay, that's great. Well, we do have a question. It seems pretty serious.
Oh, great.
So I hope you're ready for this.
How many times have I watched Avengers Endgame? I have watched Avengers Endgame 12 times.
Wow.
Yeah. It came out a year ago. Me and a lot of my friends went to see the premiere in the IMAX theater in Pittsburgh. I cried more that night than I cried on the day of my wedding. Yeah, I love everything that I love as hard as I can. So, yeah.
So big Marvel Comics guy then, huh?
The more of the cinematic universe. I can't say that I was ever into comics just because none of my friends growing up were, and I'm the oldest sibling, so like no one really ever passed it down to me. It's on some of the graphic novels are on my list of books to read. But yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. My son-in-law is a big. He has seen Avengers. I'm not sure how many times as well. Yeah. So, yeah. So great. That's wonderful. So someone has a comment.
Oh.
I'm guessing that's someone you know.
That is somebody I know very well. Yes.
Good. So folks, we would like, if you have any questions for Will or for any of us, now is a good time to ask those questions. So your wife, and I don't know if everyone saw that picture, but we had a beautiful picture of you and Allie.
Yep.
And your dog,
yep.
Brooklyn.
That's right.
And I really try to remember names when I can. So this is Allie and Will and Brooklyn.
Yep.
And beautiful. So you said you you had your wedding early
Dog is
because
beautiful.
of
My wife is
all
also
of this
beautiful,
happening,
but
and
the dog
only.
might be more beautiful.
Oh, now come on.
I know.
So tell me, did you get married in Steubenville then, or did you go back to Chicago?
We
Or
did.
where is your wife from?
My wife is from Connecticut. We did get married in Steubenville. The plan had we had everything arranged to get married in New Haven, Connecticut. And then just some things fell into place really quickly and easily. It was like a week that we had to decide because things like happened. So like, quarantine started 2 weeks. Well, it started like the second week in March. And at that point, it was like, there's no way like everyone's going to be able to come to our wedding. So then it was like, well, why are we waiting as long as we are? And we called our parents. They were both able to make it into town the next weekend. The woman from the probate court came down and met us to get a new marriage license because we didn't have an Ohio one. And God clearly wanted us to get married on March 28th because it all just worked out really well. So
will you have the actual wedding when all of this clears up? Will you go back to Connecticut and do the whole big wedding and reception thing?
We'll probably do something here, another reception here. Yeah.
Okay. So they are saying that it could be July before they open up gatherings again. Yep. And that includes our churches.
Yep.
So as a Christian, do you think there are going to be some underground churches pop up before then?
I have a feeling there already have been. And I know in a lot of states, people have tried to like push past all of the stay-home orders, and but July is a long time, and I think it's not even May, and people are already getting antsy. So who knows what they're going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully the weather will stay nice. I think that'll help if people can get outside.
Yes.
Anyways.
Yep.
So I don't know if this is someone that was at your wedding. He claims that there was a tornado.
So, first, Mark had kindly organized all of our friends in the area, all of our coworkers. My wife works at Franciscan. So my coworkers and hers and some of our friends to be parked outside of the church where we got married with signs and like social distance, and it was really awesome. But as we were walking out of the chapel, there was a tornado warning, and there was like a little bit bigger than golf ball sized hail coming down. And so it was quite the sign. You can be the judge whether or not it's the sign that God wanted us or didn't want us to get married. So.
Very good. Well, Lynn Reinbold is saying, getting married during a pandemic is a true sign of hope for the future. Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
And Will, on that note, Brian and Sean, do you have any further questions for Will?
No, it's been great talking with you and getting to know you, Will.
Yeah, we wish you the best. And folks, head on over to vagabondmissions.com and pick up a couple of tickets to their online concert with Matt Mayer, and listen to their ministry about Vagabond Missions and help them feed those who are the most vulnerable in our community. We thank Will very much for joining us, and Will, have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll talk with you again soon.
Thanks so much, Lori. Thank you, Brian and Sean, as well.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
All right.
All right. Well, that was great. Yes. What an inspirational young man, and absolutely perfect for our Bright Spot show. And you're very welcome, Mark. We were thrilled to have you as part of our show, as well as Will and his friends. So thank you so much. And I did see a question come across for Brian and Sean. while we were interviewing Will. I want to go back to that. Brian, what are you and Sean going to do once this virus is gone? Any travel plans for you guys?
We
We're
definitely
hoping-
want to get back out there. We want
Yeah,
to
we're
get back
hoping
out there. And
we're hoping to travel back to New York. She's from New York. We had to cancel our booking in New York because there was just no way to do it. But hopefully we'll be traveling soon.
yeah, we want, and any churches that want to book us, start booking us because after this pandemic is over with, it's going to be a dry spot for all of us. So as soon as you guys start doing concerts again or getting the church together again, please keep us in mind. We'd love to be a part of stirring up your church and drawing people back into the church.
Do we know Mark Pirro? Is that his name? I think we know you. I think we know Mark.
Mark, if I know that he's a friend of Will's. Will said he was someone he knew. So, Mark, if you know Brian and Sean outside of the show, let us know. They inquiring minds are asking, right? So,
Lori, we want to ask you something. We know that you have good news for the whole audience, and your daughter has good news.
So many of you know that our daughter and her husband are expecting their first baby, our second grandchild. Now she is due in November, and I'm gonna take over the screen, guys. Good. She is due in November, and today she had an ultrasound, and I understand the baby is about the size of a fig, but I want you to take a look at that. Now, that is God's handiwork. Oh, the screen went out. That is God's handiwork, wouldn't you say? Look at that. Arms and legs and little face. And wow, I tell you, I am in awe every time I see an ultrasound of a baby. But of course, it's my grandbaby, so I'm just overjoyed with the baby and seeing that basically first picture, right, of the baby. So yes, we are very excited. Our daughter is very excited, and it is God's reminder that the world is going to go on, that we will get through this. This is hope for the future, and we think next month they will find out whether it's a boy or a girl. And I think it's a boy, but who knows, right? Who knows? God knows.
Are you taking wagers on it?
No, we're not betting people. Talk to me afterwards. No, so this is our second grandchild. We have a granddaughter in Las Vegas who is going to be 3 in July, and we do a lot of FaceTiming with her, and she is just as precious as they come. And I can't say enough about technology, because without technology, I don't know how my folks did it. I don't know how, because I've lived in Ohio and they've been in North Carolina my entire married life. And, we made it. We raised our 2 kids and they knew my parents. But this is my granddaughter FaceTiming with us last Sunday. And my son got a MacBook Pro so that she could see us bigger. And she showed us all her toys, and we played with the frozen castle, and it was just like we were there. She even tried to feed me some goldfish crackers, which was kind of fun, so I pretended to eat them. And then she would just giggle, and she would run into her bedroom and grab a toy and bring it out and show it to us. And people used to tell me that when you have grandchildren, you'll wonder why you didn't have them first. Because they're just so precious. And I never could wrap my head around that, because I loved being a mom. I still love being a mom. And there is something so special, those of you out there that are grandparents, this, about a grandchild. It is, it's a feeling I can't even put into words. It is indescribable. And I wish it for all of my friends that you could experience parenthood and grandparenthood now. Hard to believe that I'm a grandmother, but I am, and happy to be. Yep, that's okay. I'm done now. That's my gushing moment, right?
I think it's because as a mother, you worry about every raindrop that falls on them, and because you have to take care of them. Now your kids take care of them, so it's a whole different world. You could enjoy yourself now.
Well, that is true. That is true. Grandchildren. So my cousin Diana Adameyer says, grandchildren have a special place in our hearts. And Diana is tuning in from Iowa. So good to have you, Diana.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Linda, yes, ma'am. Grandchildren are definitely God's gift to grandparents. I agree. So, we want to talk a little bit about the next week's show. So we do have a special guest next week, and that is, I will bring up her picture, Lauren Hersey. And Lauren Hersey has a blog called Strong Female Boss, where she gives pointers on how to do a lot of things. Like this particular blog says how to save money by going on a spending detox. I think we're all on spending detox right now, right? Because we can't get out and shop. But she's got some great words of wisdom. She is quite an inspirational woman in her own right. She's young. She is the general sales manager for WTRF TV 7 in Wheeling. So she's got a big job for such a young lady. And we're just going to talk to Lauren about life, about how things have changed. During the pandemic, she has transitioned to a work-at-home employee. She has been homeschooling her children like so many young parents are doing. And she is going to share a lot of knowledge and wisdom with us next week. So join us next Wednesday at 7 o'clock for Lauren Hersey. And we've got shows scheduled out till the end of May now with special guests. We confirmed that Nikki Fleming will be joining us on May 27th to talk about Artists on Call and a project that she's been working on to adopt local seniors who are graduating to make them feel special since they're not going to get to do their prom or their graduation. She has a group on Facebook that grew in a week to nearly 20,000 members, just shy of 20,000 members. So she's going to talk to us about that, along with some other things that Artists on Call are doing. And we also have Anthony Mugianis of Apollo Cleaning that's going to come on and talk a little bit about how he keeps his staff motivated, knowing that they've got to go out and clean in areas where the coronavirus might have been or might be. And he's a very inspirational speaker. I think you'll really enjoy hearing from Anthony as well. So lots of good stuff. So we have a challenge for you, our viewers. If you know of a bright spot in our community, or you see a story somewhere and you would like us to share that on our show or have a special guest on our show, please reach out to one of us, Brian, Sean, or myself, by private messenger. We're all on Facebook and you all know how to reach us. So please just send us a private message and tell us about your bright spot in your community. And who knows, maybe we'll feature your story as well. So please, please, please share your bright spots.
Before we close, we have a bright spot to share.
Wonderful.
Would you like to hear it?
Absolutely.
Sean, tell everybody we're in the magazine. What's the magazine?
Oh, it's called Retro Fan. And what it is
it comes out today.
It comes out today. And you can go to retrofan.com and you can buy the magazine. There's 2 full pages on us, the Chrysagas brothers. And it's because they wanted to know who we were. We had crushes on growing up, and we tell our stories, and it is an epic story. Believe me, it's about Charlie's Angels. And if any of you know us, we are totally captivated by 3 of them. That we grew up with. Jacqueline Smith, which is mine.
I don't know if you can see it. This is Jacqueline Smith.
Farrah Fawcett, which was Brian's, and
This
then
is the Farrah
Cheryl Ladd.
Fawcett stand, see? And then Cheryl Ladd stand. See, we're not obsessed, are we? They just stand up in the house.
But it's retrofan.com, and it tells our story. I think everyone had a crush when they were growing up. And when you have your first crush, I think to a child, it's the biggest thing in the whole world. And we got to meet these ladies, Jacqueline Smith and Cheryl Ladd, and we tell our stories, and we tell them very funny. So, I mean, Brian's is hilarious, and mine is as classy and romantic as you can get for being meeting a 74-year-old woman who is married, but it's still as romantic.
One that he was gaga over. When we first saw her from the back, he even said that he knew that was her, and it was like far away, and he tells the story of...
I hate to say it, I think I wet myself because of my nerves, but it didn't matter. I couldn't even get words out, but I tell the story, and Brian tells a hilarious story about his love for two angels.
I was torn between two angels. That song, "Torn Between Two Lovers," that should have been my my song, but it was with angels. So it was just so much.
So,
you have to read it to understand it.
Retrofan magazine has a lot of different stories in it. They have interviews with different stars from the past, from people like Barbara Eden to Robert Wagner to one of Charlie's Angels, or any of them. And they also have stories on just things that are interesting and fun. So get your copy today. Laurie, you're back on.
All right. Well, that's fabulous, guys. And I'm going to brag a little bit about my brother, Sean. Sean also recently was commissioned to draw Jacqueline Smith for Dynamite Comics. Excuse me, I'm so excited. Dynamite Comics is going to do an edition about Jacqueline, right? So they asked Sean to draw her. And if you have not seen Sean and Brian's drawings, guys, you are really missing something, because they are amazing. So tell us about that, Sean. How did all that come about?
Well, they're doing a tribute to Jacqueline Smith, and they were looking for an artist. And I had Jacqueline Smith on my site of drawings of her that I've done, and she's my favorite masterpiece to capture. And the guy wrote and said, "Hey, Sean, I'm doing a tribute to Jacqueline Smith as one of the world's most beautiful women, and different things, and Charlie's Angels, and all of her the TV Queen and miniseries, and I would love for you to do the cover." And I jumped at it immediately, and I'm excited because it will be coming out very soon, that I need to do the cover. They saw a lot of the pictures. I have not drawn the cover yet. We're talking about how to combine all of her many talents and beauty into one cover.
So just take a look at this, folks. I mean, this is amazing stuff, really amazing stuff. So there she is, right?
I mean,
look at that. And now remember, Sean drew this. This is his creation. This is absolutely stunning.
That was one of her famous posters. It was called Jacqueline Gold. And the amazing thing about it, for everybody to know, is that Jacqueline Smith will probably see this magazine. So Sean's ready to just, he's like excited, as, let's just say, thrilled to pieces.
Yeah. So yes, Mark, they are amazing. And they do take requests. If you would like to have a portrait drawn or a caricature, they do beautiful caricatures as well. They will do that. Just send them a quick message. They'll give you all the details.
Or if you are in, like Mother's Day, you wanted something with your mother, a picture of you and your mom, or even if you want a picture with you and one of your favorite Charlie's Angels, or anybody, any celebrity, we always do caricatures as well as portraits. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so they are drawing my portrait, and I can't wait to see it. I'm very excited about it. And they've done me a couple of times, and I have a couple here. Maybe I'll show them sometime. That
And we don't need to put you with any celebrities. Your husband's going to be with a celebrity, and it's you.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so guys, this has been a great show. Will was a wonderful guest. We are so excited to have Lauren with us next week, but it is about time for us to close. So,
well, and before we close, real fast, anybody who has any of their, because it's the world according to Brian, if there are people who think the same way as I do, I want to hear from you, and I want to hear what you think, and I will share some of your philosophies, because I can't be the only crazy person out there.
you know what? No truer words have ever been spoken. Well, everybody, we will see you next week for sure. And we appreciate you tuning in week after week. Please don't hesitate to share any suggestions with us. We would love to know who you'd like to see on the show. We've got some ideas, but we can always use suggestions, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. You all take care, and we will see you again someday.